This is video of U.S.-backed forces throwing potatoes at U.S. forces for abandoning them when they need help the most.
What we have done to the Kurds will stand as a blood stain in the annals of American history.
To see why leaders from both parties are so worried about where we're heading here, you have to look back at where we've been. Remember how ISIS took over much of Iraq and Syria while slaughtering Christians, beheading journalists, and inspiring massacres around the world? Well, Turkey back then, to our dismay, allowed terrorists, jihadists to cross its open borders to join ISIS. And Turkey, to our dismay again, would not let us use its air base that we had used for years to strike ISIS. Meanwhile, arming the Free Syrian Army to fight ISIS wasn't working because it had been corrupted by terrorists. The situation looked pretty bleak until the Kurds in northern Syria stood up to ISIS. The Kurds were surrounded, but with U.S. air support, they defended the town of Kobani. They became ISIS' mortal enemy and our most effective ally in the fight. And the Kurds, with U.S. training and support, went on to win the Battle of Raqqa and crush the ISIS caliphate. And while President Trump celebrated then too, in February, he also warned that ISIS can always regroup if not for us.
Now they reform, we know that. But they're having a hard time reforming, and I wouldn't say it's a great job to have because of us.
But the dictator of Turkey wants to get rid of the Kurds in northern Syria on the fear that they could threaten his dictatorship in Turkey. And one phone call with President Trump appeared to do the trick. The White House, not Turkey, announced that Turkey will move forward with its long-planned invasion into northern Syria. And Trump assured Turkey the United States will not stop them. And then as the president took fierce criticism for that, his team that had just announced the Turkish invasion expressed surprise about the same Turkish invasion.
He needs to stop. He needs to stop the incursion into Syria.
Against our very strong advice once again, and we think tragically, President Erdogan decided to go in militarily.
And as critics said, withdrawing the U.S. military would crush our most effective allies against ISIS and potentially trigger the genocide or ethnic cleansing of the Kurds. Trump said the area needed to be cleaned out.
They had terrorists, they had a lot of people in there that they couldn't have. They've suffered a lot of loss of lives also, and they had to have it cleaned out.
And while justifying the U.S. withdrawal from northern Syria on grounds that ISIS has been thoroughly defeated, they noted troops will still guard the oil fields to protect them from ISIS.
A purpose of those forces, working with the SDF, is to deny access to those oil fields by ISIS and others.
Oh, President Trump is not the first to hit us with maddening contradictions in Syria. We called out President Obama for that for years.
That's a red line for us.
I didn't set a red line.
To recap, Obama set a red line that he said he didn't set, then sought permission from Congress that he said he didn't need because he said we have to act right now or sometime later.
If we don't confront this now,
our capacity to execute this mission is not time sensitive.
To diminish but not topple a mass murdering dictator who posed a pressing though non-pressing threat.
It also presents a serious danger to our national security.
The notion that Mr. Assad could significantly threaten the United States is just not the case.
Well, fast forward to now. We've gone from targeting the dictator of Syria to allowing the dictator of Turkey to target our allies, who, in response, turned to the dictator of Syria, a man known for gassing his own people for protection, who in turn struck a deal with the strong men of Turkey and Russia to oust our allies against ISIS by force, while our troops still guard oil fields should ISIS regroup with another wave of jihadists that could flow in from Turkey.